Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into a really fascinating condition called Cushing Syndrome. We're going to play detective, figure out what causes it, how you spot it, and the incredible steps doctors take to solve the mystery. But first, let's just frame this with a simple question. Imagine your body's main stress hormone, cortisol. What if the off switch was broken? What if it was just flooding your system 24/7? Well, that's pretty much the reality for someone with Cushing syndrome. And here's the official definition. I love that word, constellation. It's not just one thing, it's a whole collection of issues that all point back to one single culprit: way too much cortisol for way too long. Okay, this is a super important point we've got to get straight right from the start. You'll hear two terms, Cushing syndrome and Cushing disease. They're not the same thing. Think of syndrome as the big umbrella term. It's just the condition of having too much cortisol, no matter the reason. Disease, on the other hand, is one very specific reason. It's when a tiny tumor on the pituitary gland is the one causing all the trouble. So all Cushing disease is Cushing syndrome, but not the other way around. All right, let's get into the investigation. To really understand this, you have to follow the hormonal breadcrumbs all the way back to the source. First things first, we have to find out why. Why is there so much cortisol? So, to make this all a little easier to picture, let's use an analogy. Think about your house's heating system. Your pituitary gland, that's the thermostat. It sends out a signal, a hormone called ACTH. And your adrenal glands, they're the furnace. When they get that signal, they fire up and produce cortisol, which is the heat. It's a pretty simple setup, and it really helps us see where things can go wrong. So the first way things can go wrong is what we call ACTH dependent. In our analogy, this means the thermostat is busted. It's just stuck on, constantly screaming, more heat, by pumping out that ACTH signal. This could be because of a tumor right on the pituitary gland itself. That's Cushing's disease. Or sometimes a tumor somewhere else in the body goes rogue and starts making ACTH on its own. Now, the other possibility is ACTH independent. In this case, the thermostat might be working just fine. The problem is the furnace. It just won't shut off. The adrenal glands are just churning out cortisol all on their own, completely ignoring what the pituitary is telling them. The most common reason for this? Actually, it's taking high doses of steroid medications, but it can also be caused by a tumor growing right on the adrenal gland itself. Okay, so you've got all this extra cortisol washing through the body. What does that actually look like? What are the clues? Well, the physical changes can be pretty striking. Yeah, the outward signs are really distinct. All that cortisol actually tells the body to move fat around, so you get this rounder, often reddish face. They call it a moon face, and a lot of weight gain right in the torso. But weirdly, the arms and legs can get thinner. Cortisol also weakens the skin, which leads to easy bruising and these really characteristic wide, purplish stretch marks. And it's not just skin deep. Inside, the high cortisol levels are causing all sorts of problems. We're talking high blood pressure, weakened bones, trouble processing sugar. It even messes with the immune system. You can see just how much this one hormone affects literally everything. So, if a doctor sees these signs, how do they go from just a suspicion to a real diagnosis? Well, there's a very logical step-by-step process they follow. It's like a funnel that narrows down all the possibilities until they find the one true cause. It's basically a four-step mission. First, you have to prove it. Are cortisol levels actually high? They'll test over 24 hours to see. Step 2 is a clever little challenge called a suppression test. They give you a steroid that should tell a healthy body to stop making cortisol, but in Cushing's, the body just ignores the signal. Red flag. Step 3 is the big clue. They measure that ACTH level. And finally, once they know what they're looking for, they use imaging like an MRI to find out exactly where the problem is hiding. And this test, the ACTH level, this is the fork in the road. It tells doctors exactly where to look next. If ACTH is low, it means the thermostat is trying its best to shut things down, so the problem must be with the furnace, the adrenal glands. But if the ACTH is high, you know the thermostat itself is broken and sending out way too many signals. So once the detective work is done and the culprit has been identified, it's time for a targeted plan of attack. Because with Cushing's, you absolutely have to match the treatment to the cause. And you can see how specific it is. It's not a one-size-fits-all deal. If a tumor on the pituitary or adrenal gland is the problem, the goal is to surgically remove it. If some other tumor is pumping out ACTH, you got to find that and take it out. And if this was all caused by medication in the first place, the approach is completely different. It's all about carefully and slowly tapering off that medicine with the doctor's help. Now, sometimes surgery isn't an option right away, or maybe it doesn't solve the whole problem. In those cases, there are also medications that can step in. These drugs work by basically blocking the adrenal glands from being able to make cortisol in the first place. It's like medically turning down the furnace to get those dangerous cortisol levels under control. Which leaves us with this final thought. Cushing syndrome is just such a powerful example of what happens when the body's own command and control system goes rogue. And the real challenge isn't just stopping the problem, right? It's doing it with such precision that you can restore that delicate, critical hormonal balance that our bodies depend on every single moment of every day.